Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Uh-oh, something is coming through. Is that me? Oh, my goodness. Okay. I don't know where that's coming from, but hello, Knick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin It weekly show. I'm your host, Stephanie, a.k.a. Queen. A lot to talk about. This is the show where we just kick it talking about our Knicks, or as I like to say, just nicking it. Is that me?
I don't hear anything.
What are you hearing?
Oh.
I heard a slight echo of the show for a moment, but
okay. All right. Okay. It was coming through my headphones. All right. It was just me. Excuse me. Anyway, I like to talk about tonight. The Knicks are NBA champions. We've been celebrating for a little bit right now, but this is where the hard work begins, at least for the front office. And I think the main question for them is, how do we sustain success? How do we repeat? I think the Knicks championship window is still open. I know there's some that would disagree with that. I think the front office thinks the window is still open. I think Dolan thinks the window is still open, but there's some decisions that have to be made, bringing this team back and giving them another opportunity to win it. Or do you make some changes around the margins? Dolan already said he doesn't want to go into the salary, the second apron. We'll talk about that. That does put some limitations on the Knicks, right? In terms of sustaining success, fielding another championship team within those constraints, right? So a lot to talk about tonight. Geoff, Jerrell, Knick Nation, shout out to the chat, silent listeners, and of course, later on the replay gang. Appreciate you. How you guys feeling? Champs?
Feels good be known as that, right?
Still on that high, Queen. I'm gonna ride it for a while too.
Right?
Lie.
Yeah, it feels good. My pecs feel bigger. Yeah.
This is almost a downer.
Yeah, right? Like we just won the championship 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden, everybody's down on the team because of changes might be made.
Right. But listen, let's get right into it. You know how we do. There's a poll in the chat as well. Do you value continuity over flexibility? So be sure to weigh in on that, and we'll definitely check in with the chat multiple times throughout the show. As we say, we're not just creating content, we're creating community. You guys are a big part of what we do. So your voices will be heard during the show. So I guess the first question I have is, it's really hard to win a championship, and the Knicks were able to do that. And now the question, at least in my opinion, is how can the Knicks win multiple championships? And the question I have for the panel, at least the first question, is, can this roster win multiple championships? Can this roster, as presently constituted, win multiple championships? And would you like to see it stay in place and be given that opportunity to do so? Sorry, Geoff, I gotta.
Now we're back in our proper place. I feel more comfortable. That's where he belongs. I'm back in my spot. Go ahead, Jerrell.
Jerrell, we'll start with you. Shout out to the Man Cave, Mohammed, Knicks Nation. Listen. You guys get an opportunity. Knicks, is that you, Knick Nation, or Knicks Nation?
Yeah,
that's me.
Oh, that's just you. All right.
That's what you sneaking in there under the radar.
Oh, that was Knicks Nation. Jerrell. Can this roster win multiple championships? And would you like to see them have the opportunity to do so without a lot of changes?
I actually think we can. I mean, all of our guys are around the same age. We don't have anybody old. We still got young players on this team. We have draft picks that we can still use in the future. A lot of them are the second round picks, but Yeah, they could be used in a trade. Like even if we did get in the second April, to me, my whole thing is, what upgrades were you trying to make to the roster anyway? With the type of roster that we have, I don't see us making any major moves.
Mm-hmm.
If we was in the second apron or not. So I think you never know what Dolan is going through when it comes to money and how he thinks. So we can't really tell him or expect him to pay that tax if he doesn't want to. But it seems to me that it will be more because of money if we change this roster and not get on the second apron, opposed to like having flexibility with the roster. Other than like a major injury happening, like say if we did keep Mitch, what would the upgrade be if we wanted to make a trade? So maybe that's me being naive, because I do think this roster could win multiple championships, at least another one next year. I don't see anybody in the East that I'm ultimately scared of, even with the moves that was made with Giannis to Miami. Yeah, I think we can, but we would have to keep this roster together. Like if Mitch leaves, which I think he is going to, unfortunately, then things change a little bit.
Yeah. I will say, and Geoff, the cap guy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Knicks will pay the tax regardless, whether they're in the first apron or second apron, because they're over the luxury tax. And there's a way to get out of it, right? If I understand correctly, if you're in a luxury tax 3 out of 4 years, then you pay the repeater tax. So this season coming up, they're scheduled to be the third year straight in the luxury tax. Now they can get out of it, but depending on what they do the 2 seasons after that. So my point is, Jerrell, he's gonna have to pay anyway. So I don't think it's about the about the money. But yeah, that's a good point. You believe that this Knicks can win a championship regardless of what the other teams do. Geoff, what's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are this. I think it's as much as anything about maximizing our window, right? In other words, so with our 5 starters, pretty much salary combined gets you to the first apron already, just with our 5 starters. So that means you only have approximately $30 million to build out the other 9 players on your roster any way you slice it, right? And so, at first I was a big proponent of, go ahead and you have a championship team, go ahead and if ever there's a time to go into the second apron, now would be the time. But the reason I kind of changed my opinion on that is that Jalen Brunson is going to be due for an extension, and OG Anunoby is going to be due for an extension before
We just paid OG.
Yeah, but
it seemed like we just paid him yesterday.
Yeah, but he has he becomes extension eligible the same year Jalen Brunson does. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm just saying. So you have, but even so, you have a Karl Anthony Towns extension and a Josh Hart extension that are even more immediate, right? And so you're already at the first tax line with those 5 players, and in the future, when all of those extensions kick in, if you're talking about a 4-year window, then you probably want to. And you don't want to be in the second apron more than 2 years, because that's when the really big penalties start, right? As far as your roster maneuverability, frozen draft picks, all of those sorts of things that really crush your ability to do anything. So all of that stuff is on the horizon. So we can either, I think that the decision that they're making is, do we put all our eggs in this basket to run it back, go in the second apron right away, or do we try and hold on to flexibility as long as we can? And then if we absolutely have to down the line, when Brunson is 31 and OG is 31, and they're kind of at the back end of the window, is that when you finally dip into the second apron? And so I think that's the best way to frame the argument. So from the standpoint, it's always difficult to win a single championship. To win back to back in this current climate seems almost impossible. And it really hasn't been done with the rules in place like they are. Like Golden State did it, but I don't think it was as punitive on the back end. It was more about repeater tax and those kinds of things. But that's really just how much money the owner has to spend, right? The repeater tax doesn't really affect roster maneuverability and those sorts of things, right? It's just, it costs the owner a lot more. And it's frustrating for a guy like Jim Dolan, biggest team, can't really spend how he wants to, and then on top of that he's got to give all this money to the small market teams, right? So he's actually getting double taxed if you think about it in a sense. And so I can understand why it's frustration to him, but I think it's much less about money as it is about flexibility and trying to extend this window beyond just 1 year. Because if we do go over the apron this year, it becomes difficult to stay out of it in year 3 and year 4. Because remember, Mikal Bridges' extension is just about to start, and Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns have to be paid. And so I think that if we can at all stay below the second apron, it's really advisable for this year and probably for next, even if that means saying goodbye to some players that we really, really like a Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, Landry Shamet, Jordan Clarkson, those types of players. Maybe the costs of doing business and staying relevant, but we actually, and I don't know what this looks like, but we actually can bring back and stay under the second apron everybody other than Mitch. Like if from last year's team, we could bring back everybody else but Mitch. And does that stink because he was the longest tenured Knick? Absolutely. But I mean, given his injury history, given the amount of minutes per game he plays, I think it's a little bit easier to replicate what a guy does in 15 or 16 minutes. I don't want to belittle what Mitchell Robinson does. He's my favorite Knick, but it's easier to replace someone for 15, 16 minutes than it is 34, 35 minutes. And so I think all of that goes into the calculus of things. And so, that's where I stand on it right now. It's just the climate of the modern age, and you do need to be flexible, because we saw that flexibility is what allowed us to bring in Jose Alvarado, who was a key piece to our puzzle. And you always have to tinker at the trade deadline. It seems you got to see what you have and that one little extra piece that you have. And we got second round picks to help grease some of those transactions as well. So I think it's the way that you have to go.
And thank you, Geoff, because you brought in something a little. You kind of brought in the discussion a little bit, because I was just thinking about going into the second apron for next season and not having a roster flexibility for that season. But if I'm hearing you correctly, it's inevitable with these extensions that are coming down the pike, unless we trade somebody. It's inevitable. So how can we kick the can down the road, so to speak, in terms of going into the second apron? Do you want to go in now, or do we want to kick the can, a year or two, and go in then? So thank you for adding that piece of information to it. Knick Nation, what's your thoughts? Can this roster win multiple championships? And if so, are you for allowing them to do that, even if that means we don't have the roster flexibility?
I'm going to split the baby because Ajay's not here, and Ajay loves to split the baby. So I'm going to represent, because that's my people's. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say yes and no. But I think it's I don't want to say it's not unseen, but like they say, there hasn't been too many repeaters, and repeating in this new CBA is extremely tough. Especially the way, athletes love to get paid. This is, but besides the money, because the money I'm going to sub out for a second, It's the fact that now you are the target. When I was young, we used to play a game called King of the Hill. And King of the Hill was basically, whoever was up top, I'm here to pull you down. So with that being said, is just that the Knicks are everybody's target now. And when you're a champion on night-to-night basis and you come into the building, that's a lot of championship for a lot of people. You're no longer the hunter. You know what I mean? You've become the hunted in a sense, the huntee or whatever, how you pronounce it in that sense. But you're getting everybody's best. So presently, as we are constituted, I'm going to say no unless we evolve. And then there's where my point of the yes part is. We have to evolve, because if you stand pat in the NBA, you're almost basically going backwards, because everybody is grinding and everybody is getting better and everybody is putting a little bit of something more to their game. So I still want to constitute the yes part by saying that the young players and the staff that we do have a lot of sunlight and a lot of, I'm going to say that sunlight with potential of growth to it. If these guys evolve, if that development program and them development coaches and shooters through this summer, and these guys take that next step, yeah, because it takes some of the load off of our back if our roster can be that deep and that talented. I'm all for the guys coming back, but I'm also for elevating this young staff that we have to be able to mature in ways that it's just harder to game plan for. Because when guys are newer and their games are evolving in that sense, you can draw up everything that you can and stop some people, but it's hard to when you have such a deep staff. We have, brought that talent to the to the table, but, we need to see it grow. We got 3 players particularly, and really 4, that, if they have that next level growth to them, yeah, then we can get back there. But if we stand pat and don't evolve, we have to. Another reason is why is because your season has been longer. You come into that next season, it's shorter for you. A lot of times champions, they go through injuries, and it like the bug hits them back to back to back. Is the body worn down? So can this young staff, can these young players come in and help carry us the load and get us there, and still have that energy and those legs like we had in this playoffs? Because that, to me, that did a lot. That did a lot. Us having the legs underneath us taking care of business early, us having that, grind and fortitude and not been worn down. So to me, if we evolve, yes. If we do not and we stand pat, no.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to follow up on that question, I think the young players on this team will get better. I think the question is, if we lose our bench, this is just not for you, Knick Nation, this is for Jerrell and Geoff. If we lose our bench, do you feel that they will get better enough to play a meaningful part coming off the bench, right? Because now we're not just talking about spot minutes, right? When you think about what Mitchell Robinson did in the playoffs, even Clarkson in that one game when he came off and gave us the 10 points. Deuce McBride, who many would say, even I would say, had an uneven playoff series, but he still hit, big shots for us. And then Shamet, before he regressed to the mean, as Geoff would say, went on a tear at some point. And then Alvarado, in Game 4, I was just rewatching some of the clips from Game 4, and it just impressed on me again just how critical he was to us winning that game. Yes, they will improve, but do you think they will improve to the point where they can replace those guys and give that same uh, type of production when the lights are brighter, given the inexperience, even though their game has evolved? If I get, can you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, and evolving talent wise is very different than being that deep into the playoffs. I see that as two different things. Jerrell, do you have any thoughts on that?
Just in terms of the young kids developing, like the time is now anyway, regardless. Like whether we have won the championship or not, like what would Tyler Kolek's point on this roster be if he doesn't get any minutes next year? Like this is third year. I could see Diawara maybe taking a little bit more time because he was a rookie last year, but he just got paid, so they pretty much view him as the future. But when it comes to like Tyler Kolek, yeah, it's a put up or shut up time when it comes to him. He has to get minutes next year, regardless if we lose somebody or not. Some of the other guys, you know, I might not be, you know, the biggest fan of going forward. Like they're definitely going to replace, you know, somebody like Deuce or somebody like that. But the two main people that I'm thinking about is Diawara and Kolek, and I think they can. And there's almost not, like they don't have a choice to, especially Diawara. I think he's going to be fine, especially maybe the year after next. I see a big future with him for us. Tyler Kolek is still, you know, I like him, but you know, it all depends on how much Mike Brown trusts him. If you can't trust him after his third year, then he need to go, and we need to get another backup point guard in here.
Okay, all right, Geoff.
Hold on.
Sorry. Yeah.
Because I completely forgot Huck Porty. Huck Porty would probably be in the same conversation as Tyler Kolek for me. Let's put up a shut up time for him. I don't expect him to replace Mitch just next year, but at his age and the amount of time that he's been in the NBA so far, it's time for him to be a serviceable big man, and we need to replace him too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this about Huck Porty before I get to Geoff and then Knick Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is going to be Mitch.
Exactly.
But in terms of that role,
mm-hmm.
playing with Towns, playing behind Towns, 12 to 15 minutes a game, a little more if he's in foul trouble. Do you think if Mitch is not here, Huck Porty can move into that role for 12 to 15 minutes and give you some rebound and a little shot blocking, positional defense? Do you think he's ready for that?
I think he can talent-wise. My only thing with Huck Porty really is what you said, foul trouble. Mm-hmm. Because if he is foul prone and so is Cat, that's not going to work. We have nobody else as a 5 on this team, or even close to being a 5 on this team, if both of them are in foul trouble at the same time. So in terms of that, if he can't stay out of foul trouble, regardless of how talented he is, just because of his new role as being the backup 5, if he can't stay out of foul trouble, we will have to replace him anyway.
I hear you. Jerrell is on the replacement.
I'm trying to win another chip, man.
5 times in 2 sentences.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to win another chip. I ain't worried about feelings right now. Some people going to have to go. If they have to go, hopefully we can retool and try to win a championship. I'm not trying to go backwards.
Right. Geoff, your thoughts on the subject overall?
Well, I think, first of all, Jerrell, great. If Jerrell didn't say Huck Porty's name, I was going to. But the interesting thing about Ariel, he's not under contract yet. Yeah. Tyler is for sure coming back. So, right. But we know this Knick front office, they're not going to go into next season without a viable backup 5. Like, I mean, even if Mitch ends up going elsewhere, there's definitely contingency plans in place. And I actually thought the kid out of Virginia that we picked with pick 53 was going to be the answer. I was really surprised that we traded him for cash, to be honest with you. I thought that was a viable potential, plug in for some of those minutes. But if they do bring Huck Porty back, which shouldn't cost a whole lot, his advanced stats really do paint the picture that he should be able to do that. I know not everybody's an advanced stat guy, but I thought even in this year's playoffs, I thought he came in, he had a nice block shot for us that helped change a game. And is he a little bit raw? Absolutely. But we can't let perfect be the enemy of the good. But the other thing that the Knicks have been doing that we need to keep in mind is the reason that you trade back from 24 to 30 to 25 to 30 to 31 to 46 or 39, whatever it was. All of those extra dollars mean that you can sign a veteran minimum free agent, right? That in other words, getting those veteran minimum free agent spots is critical. So you might see Pacome Daddier get moved into somebody's salary cap space, maybe sweeten that with the second round pick just to get off of that salary so we can bring someone in, because his salary and a vet min salary, I think that the difference is about $200,000, $300,000. So it's not a lot. And so if Daddier is not going to play a whole lot, maybe that's an area that you use to bring in someone else. And Wiz, if you're listening, close your ears. But Deuce McBride's $4 million or whatever it is another one. You can trade that into space. And then between he and Daddier, if you get rid of those and don't really bring anybody back, then you can free up 4 or 5 million of that 32. And then you have not A-list options, but you do have some options as to avenues in order to seek some replacements, possibly even on the free agent market with veterans who are chasing rings, or and I'm not advocating for this player, but I'm using it as an example, like maybe getting in a DeMar DeRozan if he gets bought out by the Kings, somebody like, what I mean, somebody who's kind of got a little bit more stature, a little bit more established as opposed to a rookie. And there are fives out there that are of similar ilk. I mean, and they're not the answer. They're not Mitchell Robinson. Right. No, but again, you're probably not going to find an exact replacement for Mitch. And you probably, unless he's willing to get his salary slashed in half, I don't see any way that you can bring him back. And I don't see that happening, especially when he's he could probably get a pay raise from someone else and maybe even a chance to start. So, and so I really don't see that happening. But the Knicks have some ways to kind of carve out a little bit of extra space and be a little bit creative. But I do think that they're going to find a way, and it may not even be a name that's on anybody's radar yet. But I think that they're not going to just go into the season with Karl Anthony Towns as our only option at the 5. So I think that you're going to see some things happen. I think Huck Porty could certainly be part of the solution because he's been here a while. He wouldn't cost a lot of money. We can probably bring him back on the cheap. So that's certainly a possibility as well. But I agree with Knick Nation that I do think that you're going to have some of these guys step up. I think the kid that we picked up from Germany is interesting. I think that puts a little bit of heat on Tyler Kolek because I think that he's got size, he can defend, and if he can shoot at the NBA level, he's going to be, he's a combo guard. He could take Kolek's spot in a year or two. And I think that this other kid that we got is 40% shooter. He's taller than half the team because I think he's 6'7", 6'8", depending on which media guide you read, and he's not a traffic cone on defense. So you have and you have Mo Diawara, and yes, Mo Diawara is back, but when you sign like a 4-year, $2 million a year contract, it's not like they're saying, yes, you're definitely big time in the rotation, just that you have a spot on the team. And if injuries happen and those sorts of things, we feel like we can rely on you. But I don't think that it's a sign for sure that Mo Diawara is in for, 24 minutes a game or anything like that automatically. He could work his way into that, especially as Knick Nation says, he grows up. But I don't think that's the expectation, what the Knicks are looking for in year 2. But they want to have him around because they feel like he has the potential to really grow into that 2-3 years down the line and be a quality rotation player.
Yeah. Before I get to Knick Nation, I want to go back to Miles McBride. When I did the the live the other day, somebody in the chat asked me about Miles McBride, and I said, well, the Knicks don't have to make a decision on him this season, and they don't. He's extension eligible, but he is under contract for next season. But if they're looking ahead, they may be thinking, are we going to resign Deuce McBride? Because that can help us this year if we can make that determination. If we are, then we'll keep his salary there. Now we got to figure out how we're going to extend him given the constraints, the roster, the financial, not necessarily financial constraints, because they'll have his full bird rights. They can sign him, if they want to, but the constraints of not going into the second apron. So they could decide that, listen, I don't think we're going to re-sign him and not necessarily actively trade him, but if they feel like they need that slot to help them this year, that might go into the calculus.
And you make a great point, because Deuce McBride at $4 million is a really high value player. Deuce McBride at $8, $9, $10 million, maybe not so much, right? And so that's a determination that you have to make, because as you said, extension eligible, that contract is running, that's a ticking time bomb too. And we've seen the guys that the Knicks don't want to pay, they move on from. See Emmanuel Quickly, see Julius Randle, see, on and on the list goes.
Yeah, I mean, these are championship problems that the Knicks have right now. Right? Knick Nation?
I'm sorry, the line of the question was again? As far as
shit, I almost forgot myself. Do you think, in terms of the young players playing, there's a difference between them growing up and getting better and being able to fill in key bench roles as we go deep into the playoffs?
Oh, okay. Well, that was kind of my point, was from the first point, was that we need them. It's a long grinding season. We need them to do some of that lifting to get us there. Not necessarily so much as to get us through the point of the playoffs and if we make it to the championship, but you need those days and those times where you need these guys. Just implement as a veteran, and then looking back and seeing this youth and seeing the light in their eyes and their face that, that they're beginning to get it, is enough sometimes to even help uplift veterans to keep them pushing forward. The old way of saying, hey, we're champions and now so much is going to gravitate to us, unless there are stars align where people are bought out and things like that. But you can't really count on things like that unless you got some kind of an inside scoop. But otherwise, it is what we must stick with the plan. And the plan was to heavily invest in development. This is why he has paid for such a large coaching staff, medical staff, as far as the whole thing across the board. That fruit needs to come to fruition. Without that fruit coming, what's name is? I don't see us, getting back that easily. We are at the type of time where, if I believe, is to say, hey, even if we come in as the 6th seed, people will still know that, hey, the Knicks can still go on that run, can still be just as dangerous, and can still beat anybody in the league. So to me, I think that you have to implement, if you really want to go again, is development, despite even over certain points of winning, that you need to develop, and bring that to the table, getting into the playoffs and getting strong and getting there. And I'm not saying that those young players got to get us through once you get into the players, because we know that is a different animal. But if they can bring a percentage of what they can do and learn through that season, because we're not going to ask them to carry us through the playoffs, but we're going to look for them to get us there, though.
That's what they've done. That was their role last season. They did that.
Yeah, but they didn't get that much of a, as far as the percentage wise, they're going to have to get what's name, because I believe just to even get us there, you got to take your veterans and you got to pull their minutes back even more.
Okay. All right. So we did some of it last season. You're just saying at a different to do it even more. I get that. But
Priorities.
what I'm saying is that's fine. But who's going to be on the bench when we get to the playoffs? Because so what I'm hearing is if we can't sign if we bring Mitch back and we can't sign the other free agents, it's not going to be them just helping us get to the playoffs. They're going to have to do some heavy lifting in the playoffs, right? Which is very different than you have a bench that's filled out, that's going to do the heavy lifting, and now you're counting on these guys throughout the season so that these guys don't have to play a lot of minutes. Then when they get to the playoffs, they're fresh.
I don't see it as far in the playoffs, though. I don't see that as far as the playoffs, but I see it as far as because the playoffs, remember, a lot of times we expand minutes as far as with the starters. So I can see that, you know what I mean? So their roles will be less, but their roles need to be heavy getting us there because these guys start far.
My question is, who is going to be the bench players in the playoffs? I don't disagree with anything you said. What I'm saying is, who's going to be our bench players in the playoffs? Because right now, if we sign Mitch, we can't bring back. We have to. Now we're talking about these kids and vet minimum guys. Am I right, or am I?
I get what you're saying.
If we don't bring back Mitch, then we can bring back Shamet. We can bring back, maybe there's some other things we can do. And this is all based on if we don't make any trades, move any other salary to open up space. So
yeah, but that's one of those bridges that are really hard to answer until we get to it. Because then, you know what I mean, I could give you certain scenario answers, but until we get to it, you know what I mean, we don't really know how that's going to work out.
To be honest, I was just going to say, to be honest, I was going to say the same thing. Until we actually know who's not going to be here, it's kind of hard to answer your question. Because now, as of right now, the only guard is Shamet, right? That will leave.
Well, not necessarily. Alvarado's got a player option
that true.
He can decline, and if he declines his player option, he becomes a free agent.
Right, the 26. I think he moved it to the 20. He moved it to the 26, right?
100%.
That's tomorrow. Right?
And if that's the case,
tomorrow, yes.
And if that's the case, say if he leaves, then it's a completely different conversation when it comes to Tyler Cole.
And Clarkson's a free agent too, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if they do leave, that I would need to know who leaves first, because the whole Tyler Cole conversation will be a different conversation then.
Not necessarily though, because if they leave, there'll probably be other similar type players. I mean, remember the year before we had, what was that kid's name who was the ugliest shot in the universe?
Campaign.
Campaign. Yeah.
Campaign. There'll be other players like that. I expect Alvarado will be back at the very least. I'm not sure about Shamet. If Mitch goes like I expect he does, Shamet would make a lot of sense. But again, I don't know if they want Shamet, Alvarado, and Deuce, and Kolek, and Cahill, and there's a lot of duplication in there, I think, in terms of skill set. So maybe they want to look in some other directions to fill some more holes in the front court, which I think kind of we have more than in the back court in some cases.
And at least if that does happen, with the year we just came off of, we're at least a favorable destination.
That is correct. Finally, for me, even if I don't know the particular players that may or may not be on the team, I think the direction, I have a direction I would like the Knicks to go in, and that is to have a veteran bench. And I have no problems with the young players playing however many minutes they're going to play throughout the regular season. but I need a veteran bench for the playoffs. Like, I would feel really uncomfortable if, not necessarily if they played, but I would feel very uncomfortable if they were our 6th, 7th, and 8th guys that we were relying on off the bench, because the playoffs is just a different is just a different animal. But if they were 9th, 10th, and situational, I have no problem with it. So I'm really watching to see what the Knicks do, in terms of whether or not we bring back our own veterans on the bench, whether we bring in, maybe we catch a Pearl, a vet minimum guy like Philly did a few years ago when they, picked up Kelly Oubre, who helped them. I'm really watching that, because I don't care how much the development is this season. I don't think our guys would be, well, anything could happen. I wouldn't feel comfortable if our young guys were 6th, 7th, and 8th on the depth chart, going deep into the playoffs. So I'm really watching heavy and see, because the bench, what made the Knicks super difficult to beat was they had one of, if not the best starting lineup in the league. They had lineup flexibility with Mitch, where you could play him with and behind Karl Anthony Towns, and they had a seasoned bench. Had a really seasoned bench. Alvarado didn't look shook at all. You know what I mean? Like these, you could say their play was uneven, but they didn't look like they were shot. Like the lights were too bright for them. And I would like the Knicks to have that again if we're thinking about repeating. Doesn't have to be the same cast of characters, but that type of seasoned players who are not going to shrink as we go deeper into the playoffs. So just in terms of Mitchell Robinson himself, I think if he comes back, somebody else will be moved on the roster to make that happen, right? I think that's fair to say, right? You're going to have to move somebody to bring back Mitch. I don't think the Knicks are going to just bring him back and basically sign, 4 vet minimum guys. I think they bring him back, they're going to move somebody to create space for him and other bench players. If he does leave, like, how do you replace that? Are you looking for someone who does exactly like Mitch does? Are you looking for somebody who can fill that role in maybe a different way? Knick Nation, what would you be looking for?
Oh, that's tough. Well, let's start with what Mitch gave us. One of probably the greatest offensive point of rebounding center, particularly coming off the bench as a backup. And he also, his ability to block, his ability to intimidate people from even coming in there, his ability to stretch as a 5 way out to the 3-point line, where most centers are really just incapable or extremely uncomfortable out there. Mitch had no problems doing that. That is extremely hard to replace, let alone that he controls the pace of a team's offense, because how many guys that they have to keep in just to keep him off the boards, and how much energy that takes out of a team just fighting a guy 7-foot beast on the boards. It takes a lot of energy, particularly when you don't have guys, that size that match him, and you got a bunch of guards up underneath him, on the side of him, pushing him, pulling them, doing things like that. That takes a lot of energy. So to replace something like that is going to be extremely tough. Because I actually saw something where they were matching the point of who you would bring back, as far as if you had a choice. Would it be Shamet, or would it be as far as Mitch? And to me, it was no doubt it was Mitch, because I can replace a lot in the league of what Shamet does. it's very hard to replace what Mitch does. Mitch is like the outliner in that sense. He changes, you know what I mean, a lot of things of what you can do or think about doing. So to replace that, that's going to be extremely difficult. Who's out there? I'm not really sure. But if I had my point and pick of it, it would be somebody who's a true power forward, who's a rebounding forward. And then I can kind of helpfully make up with certain things. But as it stands, I don't know if Porty is. I don't think that we should look at Porty as a replacement of Mitch. We just look at Porty as a center coming in, but not as a replacement for Mitch, because he does not have the skill set, the footwork, and the maturity to deal with how Mitch does. He doesn't have the physicality of it. It's a lot of things, you know. Mitch was a veteran, you know what I mean, a true veteran. It takes a lot having the mentality too to come in off the bench, to be able to look and see what the team needs or what things to do. It's not just that easy, because Mitch is back there. He's talking, he's calling a lot of shots. So that's going to be tough to replace. But you got to trust that this organization knows what they're doing and that they can figure it out. Because honestly, I don't think that he's going to come back. I just don't think we have the money there in general, period, point blank. Even if we gave it almost all to him, because I'm not up for holding any player that when it's point of his time of his payday like that. And if Mitch can get that kind of money out there, if he can get 20 as opposed to then taking 10, nah, that's a lot of bread. That's a lot of life changing point. And the guy, and overall, I like the guy, you know, Republican or not, I still like him. So,
yeah, I don't know if it's Mitch versus Shaman as much as it's Mitch versus a bench. Is that more fair, or is it just one to one?
It
well,
can't
and
be
that
one
can,
to one. Sorry,
okay.
go ahead.
No, okay. No, do your thing, bro. Because I'm just saying, in that scenario, it was just that's what that was scenario. But I get where you're coming from as far as, you know, the overall wholeness of the value of it. Like, and I think too, as you said earlier, Steph, I think you have to prepare to be uncomfortable, because I just think we don't even have money for to say vet minimums like that, to say, hey, to build what's names. We don't, because you got to remember what's name. He took less than that because he was already being paid. So that's one off the board, right? You know, so I don't know. It's we got money troubles. We got money troubles.
Geoff, you were gonna say something?
Well, so it's not the Shamet Mitch thing is not equal, because you're talking about a big price point differential, right? In other words, Mitch is not re-signing here for $7 million when he made 14 or 15, or maybe just 12 or 13 this year, but that's a hefty pay cut to ask a guy to take, right? And so you're exactly right. So that extra $5-6 million, whatever it is, assuming he doesn't get an increase, right? And we can't afford to give him that either, and stay under the apron and second apron, and that's what we're doing. And so that $6 million is 2.5 players, right? You know, this is a team that's making all these moves so we can sign somebody into the rookie exception and maybe have one of those other guys as one of our two-way contracts, right? So we can save every penny that we have. So, I'm not even overly comfortable with Shamet at $7 million, to be honest with you. I don't know that he brings enough that he's worth giving almost 25% of our available cap space to, just to retain him. From a continuity standpoint, I get it. And like I said, it's possible, extremely possible, to bring back everybody but Mitch and stay under second apron comfortably, or maybe not comfortably, but to stay under the second apron. So Jose Alvarado opting in would certainly help. Because I think him at $4.5 million is kind of what he made last year, so that's not a bad price point. And Sherwin's right; we have 21 million now, but we've got 7 empty roster spots that we've got to fill. And so and there's roster charges. It's not like you can pay $14 million one, because then you only have $7 million left, and you still got 5 players that that's not a possible thing to stay under the apron. So yeah, you may have 21 million, but that's not nearly as much as you think it is. That's basically a bunch of veteran players as it is. And that's what we had last year. They outperformed that, but we got,
That's a
as
great
Nick
point.
Nation
That's a
said,
great point.
Clarkson came here on a vet min because he was still getting paid from Utah. Nick Nation brought that up. Well, Landry Shamet barely made the team. He was a non-guarantee at the beginning of the season, way outperformed his contract, right? And so you know, some of these guys that we had here were minimum guys to begin with. And so, you know, and we got better than minimum production out of them. And kudos to Leon Rhodes and company for finding those diamonds in the rough. And those guys will be available again. You know, those types of guys, I should say, I think will be available again, because you'll see some guys get bought out and not need as much money and want to play for a contender. And now that you won a championship, it's not a question, are they a contender? Well, yeah, we know that starting five, they all have rings. So we know if we're able to fill in that role, maybe we get the ring like Alvarado did, or like, you know, Clarkson did, etc.
Right. Do you think, Jerrell, we're looking at a situation now, given the cap, that the Knicks basically have to identify their core and maybe one or two bench players and just be comfortable with the fact that those bench players may have to rotate every year, that it may be difficult to sign them, a Clarkson, a Sohan, a Shamet, to a 2 or 3 year deal?
You don't think they did that already though? Like establish who the core is?
Yeah, but they still trying to bring back some of these veterans, and I'm thinking that maybe it's just you got your core, you got your starters, and those other players are just going to rotate from year to year. That the salary cap just doesn't allow you to have 7 or 8 under contract. I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they already established who their core was as soon as they it's not like he wasn't going to do it because of the draft picks, but as soon as they said that they was going to extend Bridges, I'm like, who? Like, that's the core right there. Like, everybody's under contract for multiple seasons. Of course, Hart and Cat are up for extension, but I fully expect them to sign those extensions here. So I think that starting five is the starting five. If we bring back Mitch, like everybody's saying, we might not have a bench, but we'll have to fill this roster out somehow. Will it be a championship roster because of depth? That's a different story.
Yeah. And great point. Whoever brought that point up, that the bench were actually journeymen that outplayed their contract. I don't know how many times we could go to that well and get similar production, but
sometimes that's how championships are made, though. Like, you know, I guess it all depends on the team. Like, we caught lightning in a bottle from one year with those type of players. That's not saying it can't happen again, but that's also obviously not a guarantee either.
Yeah. Shout out to Wild Boy Trey. This is a championship team because of the starting lineup. So are you saying that we're spending too much time on the bench, that you don't think the bench is that important, or these particular bench players aren't as important, that as long as our starting lineup stays intact, we can find 3 or 4 bench players to come in and produce for us? Is that what you're saying, Wild Boy Trey?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say, you know what I mean? I wouldn't jump completely out of the window with that one. That's tough. Like, obviously a bench is needed to win a championship. Like, part of the reason we went on that run was because of our bench. They were a huge part of it.
Yeah, he said that's exactly what he means. And Rafer, hopefully I got that right, he said the bench is important. I think it was important. The starters are not going to be able to do it on their own. You're going to need everybody. And I think last season showed that. You're gonna need everybody, and not just last season showed it in the playoffs. Throughout the season,
Right.
you know, it showed it. You guys are okay with keeping the core together, the starters together, or are you open to moving a starter if that allows you to get another starter that's maybe not making as much money and gives you the ability to fill out your bench? Or are you kind of locked into the starters and just we need to just keep that, and if the bench is not as strong, so be it? Jerrell?
I honestly think the starters are pretty much locked. If that's a good thing or not, that's a question. But I don't think none of our starting five is going anywhere anytime soon. Just from the Jalen taking a pay cut was part of the reason that starting five was put together like that. I don't see them moving.
Yeah. Nick
But
Nation?
I think part of it
Okay, Jeff.
also is that the bench are complementary pieces, right? And so when you have the starting five as your anchors and in place, you can find players with skill sets that complement your guys more easily than if you're still searching for a starter per se. You know what I mean? So I think that piece of the puzzle makes it easier for guys like Clarkson and Shamet and Alvarado to shine in their roles because they're defined. They're with other veterans. They plug in and play with some of our starters extremely well. And I think we even saw that with some of our younger players like Tyler Kolek in the in-season championship game when he was against the Spurs, when he was literally outstanding in that game. And so, I think, yes, the bench is important. But I think when you have a starting group that's as talented and versatile as the one that we have, that makes it easier to bring in the complementary pieces that you need, and you can change the individual parts like a light bulb almost. You know what I mean? Okay, we need a new light bulb for this room. Okay, do we want LED? Do we want, just a 60 watt? What do we need here? I think it's a little bit easier to do that when you have established starters and you know what they're going to do and you know what positions and what things you need to fill in, which I think is still pretty clear with this roster. I think that we've all, we've talked about it for 2 or 3 years, what this roster really needs and what we got for a good portion of it from the guys who were 6 through 9, basically, on the bench the whole time. So, yes, the bench is important, but I have confidence that with between what's here and what's going to be available, we're going to be able to cobble enough together to have a competitive team for the title and still have the flexibility of staying under that second apron. I have confidence in that.
Jeff, you can't be confident and use the word cobble together. Like that just sounds like we just throwing things together. My goodness.
But Steph, I guess it all depends on how much you trust this front office. How much you trust Leon Rose.
I trust him a lot.
Like I kind of don't. It's not like I'm complete trust. Like you'll never have complete trust, but I don't know. They would have to make a few mistakes for me to not trust them at all. Like the moves that they have made and how savvy they were to get these players that was on the roster already. Yeah, like I understand not being confident with trying to piece stuff together, but if any front office, you should have a confidence in doing that, it will be ours.
Yeah. Maybe it was just the wording. Cobble. I'm like just picking
sound a little rickety, right?
A little rickety, like my knees. That's what it seemed like.
We call it Southern engineering down here in Texas. Sometimes you need a little good Southern engineering, and it works. It don't look the prettiest. A lot of grit, spit, and duct tape, but it holds together, and you're grateful for it. And it doesn't look good, but it runs pretty well.
Yeah. Let's get to the to the chat. Some interesting comments. Go ahead. Oh, Nick Nation, you wanted to say something? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to say is that this is where why and when Worldwide West is while we employ him. This is his time. This is his time where Worldwide West has his ear to the streets of our players and, situations, being unhappy and what possibly could fall to us or how to engineer it to fall to us. Because let's not make no mistake. This is a knife, cutthroat world, and that business is for sure. So this is why Worldwide West, why we brought him here. And this is his time that he should earn, and and makes things happen. These players and other things that have come to us don't just happen. These things just don't, fall in by mistake. And, all of a sudden, these parts just line up. These guys make it happen. So I'm looking forward to see what West can do. Hopefully he's got his ear to the ground.
Like the importance of Brock Aller. Wouldn't nobody be able to pick him out of a lineup?
Yeah.
Facts.
One of the most important people in that building by far.
Yeah, by far.
And in the league.
Holds the bag. Holds the bag. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to the Man Cave Podcast. Appreciate you. Salute to the panel. The chat. We are the champs. Let's go, Knicks. Yes, we are. Shout out to DX Relish, man. Congratulations, but go Sixers. Appreciate you stopping by. Congratulating the Knicks, on winning the championship and sweeping your 76ers along the way. Greg said, man, we should have started to show off with our picks. Yeah, I sound like we didn't win a chip. Mad depression. Listen, we're trying to win another one.
Yeah, we didn't even really talk about the draft yet.
We can. Yeah, we could talk. We could talk. I mean, you guys can.
Some of the stuff that you start is draft stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, with the players that we picked, it's no deep discussion. So if I have something to say about the draft, it'll come out of some of the stuff that you start already. I already saw what you start.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. He's our resident college analyst. All right. Salute to A-Train, one of the regulars. Appreciate you stopping by. Randu, another one of the regulars. Appreciate you stopping by. Cartier Joe, I hope everybody is willing to restructure their contract after Jalen's example. I don't think that's allowed under the CBA. Am I correct?
They can't restructure, but when they're up, they cannot take the maximum extension allowable. So and that's pretty much what Jalen did, right? He said, "I'm not going to take as much money as I possibly can. I'm gonna take this amount." So, Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns, both extension eligible this summer, both could follow in Brunson's footsteps and give us a little bit of extra cash. But again, that doesn't affect this year. Those extensions won't kick in until the year after. So that would be not for that wouldn't matter to this season coming up, but the following season is when that would be helpful.
Yeah. When it comes to Jalen Brunson, though, I think he took the max that was available to him that year, as opposed to waiting for the next year.
Right. That's true. Yes, that's true. But he could have not extended and signed for the extra as a free agent. So that's the difference. But yes, he didn't leave money on the table from that standpoint. That's an accurate statement, Queen.
Right. Okay. Greg says, all I know is I guess he's saying year to Brown is going to be even better, or next year Brown is going to be better. I think he will be. I think he's growing with the team. The team is growing with him. I think it's a dynamic, and it will be better. Salute to David G. I appreciate you as well, dropping by. All right, let's see. Nick Yak, who in the East, if any, we can't beat on the road? Just get to the playoffs. I mean, teams are rejiggering. Teams are reconfiguring. And this roster was the best was the best team in the league, obviously, because we won the championship. I think the question becomes, will this roster be better than teams that haven't even been formed yet? Because that's basically what, what that's part of the question as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why Dolan doesn't want to lock himself in, just to have some flexibility at the trade deadline in the offseason if somebody gets injured, God forbid. I get Smuga or Muga. Hope I said that right. The youngin played last year and did well. Bring in Mo vets. I will all be buyouts and all the ring chasers. Okay. I guess bring in all the buyouts in the ring chasers. Okay. Nick shows up in the playoffs, and OKC and Spurs got bigger if we want to win. Okay. How do you pronounce that? Nickel or Nickel?
Nickel.
Nickel gonna make the team. Your thoughts, Jerrell?
I don't expect him to get any minutes on this team next year. No. He'll probably be in the G League, but one thing he can do is get buckets. He can shoot very, very well. Some of the other stuff obviously had to work on, a little slow-footed. Not the best defender, but like Geoff said earlier in the show, he's not a cone. But his one trait that he has is elite, and that's being a shooter.
Yeah, and he has size with it as well.
True.
I would think of him as a shorter Steve Novak.
Exactly.
To start with, like if you want a player comp, like really good outside shoot. I think Novak was like 6'10", 6'11". Didn't really.
Novak was that tall?
I think about 6'9", 6'10". I think.
Wow.
He's 6'10".
I didn't know.
He was 6'10".
So he's a little bit. I think he's only 6'7" or 6'8". But if you want a player that he could eventually become like, I think Novak is a decent guess.
Yeah.
If you're into
he's
player
6. Yeah, he's 6'6". He's 6'6". His thing is more of catch and shoot. He's a catch and shoot dude. The rest of his game needs to involve.
Oh,
he's definitely catch and shoot.
He can boogie a little bit off the dribble. Don't get me wrong, though. It's not, he ain't shaking and baking nobody, but a couple dribbles, step back, pull up, he can do that.
Yeah.
The OG bag.
Yes. He will be OG will be a little bit better than he is off the dribble, but, we ain't really. Anyway, yeah, he's the OG bag. 2 dribbles max, and he can put it up.
Okay. Coach, Nickel might be on a 2-way until mid-season when the Knicks make a deal. Okay. He also said Clarkson is a goner. I would like to see a bigger role for Clarkson. And I would like to see the Knicks make a decision between Deuce and Shamet. Am I the only one that don't think we need both? I know I'm not saying they're the exact same players, but in terms of their role on the team as spacers, and given how tight the salary cap is, I don't really want to see. You can never have enough shooters. I get that as well, but I don't know. I think one or the other. I think if you're going to keep Deuce and you're committed to re-signing him, maybe you find a vet minimum guy. I don't know.
I personally think Shamet has to go because he'll cost more than Deuce. Probably.
You think when they sign Deuce, though, you think? I think Shamet might be cheaper when Deuce's extension comes up. No.
Or when does Deuce have to be extended?
Next season.
Next season, right?
Yeah.
So I guess
after this season, if I'm not mistaken, he's under contract for this season coming.
Yeah. So I guess his extension can happen sometime.
He's
this
extension
season.
eligible.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, that's tough. I didn't think about that, but yeah, Shamet gonna make some money, especially compared to what he made this year.
Yeah.
I don't see him sticking, to be honest.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Clarkson either.
Yeah. Clarkson was up and down, but I just think the way he played defense as the season went on, And if he has an opportunity to be on the team for a second year in a row, I wonder if he grows in that role and he's even better. You know?
So if you had a choice between the two, you'll pick Clarkson over Shamet?
I would pick, if we're gonna keep Deuce, I would pick Clarkson. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I would actually pick Clarkson and Shamet over Deuce because I think Shamet is going to be cheaper over the long term than Deuce.
Deuce is younger too. Yeah. I don't know. That's tough.
And I think Deuce still has more value in a trade than Shamet. Though Shamet may have, I don't think Shamet has increased his value to the point where you can like put him in a trade and get something. Yeah, I don't know. Your thoughts, Geoff?
I kind of feel like Deuce has played himself out in New York. Like he had a great game against Philadelphia to close out that series, but he was pretty, in the playoffs. I think he missed his last 8 3-point attempts in the finals, and I think he shot like 4 of 22 overall in the finals. And you can say, well, maybe that's just the matchup, but these are the types of teams we're going to be playing in the penultimate round. So I just don't know that moving forward if Deuce is the answer. And I can get behind Deuce as a $3.5-4 million player. I don't want to be the team to pay him twice that or more. Like if you're talking about being in the Deuce business for $8 million, I think we can get similar production for less money easily. And maybe that is Shamet, right? Shamet, I think the numbers that they're talking about is somewhere around $7 million a season. I'm not actually crazy about that number for him either, by the way. But I would rather pay him 7 than Deuce 10. And Clarkson is a little bit older, so I kind of like the having the more youth. So if I had to rate the 3, I think Clarkson's probably a better player than Deuce, but just because of he's so much younger, I would probably put Deuce ahead just because I think that youth he has more extended play time in my opinion than a Clarkson does. But I actually think one of the keys to this offense is finding a team with cap space to take on Deuce and free up some salary for us to move into some other areas, whether that's to pay Shamet or bring someone else that we not necessarily on the radar yet in.
Okay. Right. John Gutierrez, I think Knicks can trade Hart and Bridges. Wow. 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 I mean, I think if they...
I would like to see what's coming back.
A star.
It would have to be.
Even though, I mean, you can't... Well, let me bring it back. I don't know if you're getting a star for Hart and Bridges, but you can get a really solid player and build out your bench for just trading one of them. Both of them? I don't know about that.
But if you do that, or is the players you're going to give you more production than Hart and Bridges can at this point? I don't think so. I think that starting 5, at least for the next year, is pretty solid. If we have hiccups next year, like if we don't go as far as we think we should in the playoffs, and I'm sure we're thinking, championship again, but if we fail in the first or second round next year, then I think, okay, you've got to really consider Josh Hart probably would be the domino to move first because he's not under contract as long and he doesn't make as much money, so it'd be easier to move him probably than Bridges with the contract. But I don't expect the Knicks to unless they're just blown away by something they can't refuse. I don't expect them to move either player.
I don't either.
Yeah, no way. Nope. If you move the two of them, you'd have to be bringing back an all-star. That's what they command, their talent-wise. Combined together, you'd have to be moving. You'd have to bring in an all-star. There's two you got 2 guys who really defend well. You got, arguably, not even arguably, you have the best rebounding guard in the game. You have one of the best guys to take the rebound and lead your fast break. So, yeah, no, you'd have to be bringing back a star if you move those two. And to destroy the continuity of the team with the Nova connection, you had to bring back a star. That's the only way it'd be worth it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with one of them with bringing the entire starters, all the starters back. But the Knicks are top heavy, in my opinion. And I would not be mad if they decided to move off one player to bring back another starter who fits and shore up the bench. I think you are messing with continuity doing that. But I wouldn't be totally mad. Like I get it. All right. Keith Turner. We can't bring back everybody, but don't say we want to chip just because of the starting five. Definitely agree. Curtis DeYoung, the bench was the Knicks' advantage throughout the playoffs. A consistent roster can go a long way. Yeah. Yeah. Coach Sohan is going to be big next year. Do you think Sohan comes back? I don't know if Sohan even comes back. You know?
No.
That shot looked decent now. I mean, if the Knicks are into reclamation projects and he gonna spend the summer with the shooting coach,
that shot still looked like that shot, Steph. I don't know what you was looking at.
I thought the shot looked a little better as the season went on.
But only campaigns looked worse beforehand, so it's not like, and Payne can actually knock him down. Like Sohan is the capital of the UFO city, as Clyde would say.
Steph was looking at the game in one of those Coney Island mirrors, you know.
Sherwin is saying, I'm hoping to trade Deuce for the Pelicans backup center. Who's that?
Yves Messi.
Oh, he's the backup? Who's the center? Who's the starter?
I don't know, but I think he is.
No worries.
Wasn't I forgot the kid name. I thought it was that light skinned kid for a while. With the he's kind of got like a wild game. Did he go back there? Or did he go back to the Lakers?
BKNY 1982. We need bigs. Jamrock always. I appreciate you.
Nation, you talk Jackson Hayes?
Jackson Hayes.
I think he's still with the Lakers.
Okay.
He's still with the Lakers. All right. But he was with what's name, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that's what's throwing me off. So yeah.
He started with them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sherman says Mitch and Sherman are out of here. How do you feel about that, Sherman? I know you're a really big Mitchell Robinson fan. What's your thoughts on that? I heard somebody say Luke Cornett. Would we want a Luke Cornett? I don't know if the Knicks can get him. Okay. We're tired of celebrating our team already and have gone right to the gear, tear them apart stage. I see. I'm going back into my bliss bubble. Sis, this is the reality of what's going on right now. Like we're not just coming in here and creating stuff. This is we have to discuss as content creators, in my opinion, what's going on with the team. And right now, the Knicks have won the championship. There's the draft, there's free agency, there's Dolan's comment about the second apron. We have a lot of free agents and unrestricted free agents. We only have 9 players under contract. I think it's a relevant topic after winning a championship. How do you sustain success? How do you win it again? And in order to do that, you have to talk about the roster. I want to ride this bubble forever, but as a content creator, I can't just come here every week and talk about how we won the championship, right? Now I'm trying to talk about how do we win another one? Like that's where I'm at. Well, how do we win another one? I know some people feel like the Knicks window is closed. You got it. Now it's Wemby's window and this window. I still think the Knicks window is open. Jerrell?
I was just going to say, yeah, that's just the gig. Like we had a week. The honeymoon after the championship is only a week long. Yeah. After that, I think we're so used to not getting to the finals. We don't know the draft is the very next week after we won everything. So I
That
think the
part.
draft caught a lot of people off guard. Like, yes, the
Exactly.
draft is right now. Like, so
Mhm.
especially free agency, like this stuff is going to be moving. Like, you can still celebrate the championship because I tell people every day that I'm a champion. That is never going away.
Facts.
But in terms of
Wait a minute.
us on the show,
There you go.
in terms of us on the show, unfortunately, we can't, pop champagne on here every time.
Every time.
I'd
Sorry,
like to,
sis.
though.
I
I'd
get
like
you.
to.
Greg said the same thing. He said, this is depressing talking. And it was. I mean, as soon as I came in, I was like, oh, man, we got to come off this high and talk
Yeah,
about
man.
roster,
Yeah.
roster construction. But it is what it is. We got a super chat here. The Art Man, formerly known as Steve, we appreciate you. Art Man, I appreciate you helping me get those championship shirts and hats for the team. Thank you for supporting the channel. Evening, y'all. Only person I trade Hart and Mitch for is Ant Edwards, and I'm not even considering this till 2 years from now. Run it back and then run it back one more time after that. I hear you. I think that's a legitimate point. I appreciate you for sure.
Unless Ant said he won out right now, then we're gonna have a different conversation. He kind of holds the cards when it comes to that, to be honest.
Oh my God. Keith Turner Shaman has just priced him out. Wish we could keep him. Okay. We just drafted the best shooter in the nation. Can't nothing steal my joy. I hear that. I hear you. Okay. Diawara is a combo forward. Yeah, I hear you. She says she's gonna ride her wave of happy. I hear you. I've been wearing Knick merch ever since we won.
Of course.
IT Deuce will flourish somewhere else. Keep Shamet. He's a prolific. Maybe it's a bit hyperbolic, but okay. He's a prolific 3-point shooter. Keep Sohan. Clarkson got to go. In order to win again, you have to change up on the starting lineup.
I was going to say that a lot of people still got the champagne colored glasses with the prolific comment, but the rest of it, that is very interesting. I haven't heard that. Very interesting.
Geoff, how are you making sense of the Knicks winning over 50%, well, more than 50%, over 50 games per season the last few years and winning the championship, even though the lineup data doesn't support it? Is it just that they did it, but it was clunky and it could have been smoother? Like, how are you making sense of it?
Well, but the lineup data changed. Like the Knicks starting unit was much better this year than it was a year ago under Thibodeau, and I don't know if that was because they were better rested or what have you. But the plus minus numbers on that group were vastly superior to what they were the season prior. So I'm not sure that criticism really holds as much water as it did. I don't know that the data supports that as much as it did, although Deuce with the starters showed that it was very successful, and you can insert other players with the starters, and all of those lineups, a lot of those lineups did look very good, but the Knicks starting unit was their best unit, and as far as I understand this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the Knicks starting five was their best unit this year, and part of it is just that they played together longer, and OG Anunoby stepping up in the playoffs and turning into like a legitimate third option certainly changed the calculus there a little bit also, I think.
Yeah. Thank you for that update that the lineup data did change this season. Junior Star Water, Junior Star H2O, not getting talent to build from the draft while watching your stars get older will have the Knicks missing the playoffs in 3 to 4 years. The championship will soften the blow, though. But, I mean, the Knicks already have young players that they're bringing along, though. Like if the Knicks were just a veteran team and they didn't have a Diawara and they didn't have the two players they drafted this time. I know McCullough is a restricted free agent. I know Huck Porty is a restricted free agent. They also have Daddy A. They also have Kolick. So I'm not that concerned about it because I feel like we do have young players in the pipeline. What about you guys? Are you guys concerned about that?
So one thing you have to consider, and I think this is really important. I think this is the entire point of Tuesday's draft. All first round picks are guaranteed contracts for 4 years at 3.4 to 2.8 million dollars in the range that we had, I think, or maybe 3.4 to 2.4. But again, you're talking about a prospect, someone who's not you don't know what they're going to be, an unknown quantity that you're locking yourself into for 4 years. And when you're trying to navigate salaries, and in other words, do you want that $3.4 million that you're spending on Cameron Carr, for example, to be what keeps you from a veteran piece who's going to help you defend your title now? I don't personally. I think that you need to look at it through that lens. Is there's an opportunity cost to rostering a rookie, especially a guy. I look at Pacom Dadier. We've paid him, and the reason that Dadier is on the roster at all is because he took 80% of what he could have made as a first round pick. I don't know if y'all remember that or not, but he took a discount to sign in the first round. Remember when we drafted him, everyone said, "Oh, draft and stash." And then he's like, that night, he's like, "No, I'm staying." And the reason that he stayed was he took less money. And so that helped the Knicks out down the road. So, I think that we tend to get frustrated when we look at guys like Jalen Duren. How could we trade that guy? And some of these other guys who end up being good players, but again, it's sometimes in the quest for a championship, do you have time to wait for that player to develop when you've got all these other veteran pieces who are so much better than them, who deserve the playing time, and they're the reason you're in contention in the first place? I want to bolster our lineup with guys who can help now, because even the best GMs get it wrong sometimes. Even Sam Presti misses on picks sometimes. And so, I think that when you look at it from the perspective of what helps us win now and in the future, I think that we're trying to kind of move both of those stones up the road at the same time, but doing it in a way that makes a lot of sense. And look, we've had a very good success with our second round guys. I think we got Mo Diawara in the 50s. We got Ariel Huck-Porty in the 50s. So we've been able to find some guys with these late picks. I mean, Tyler Kolick hasn't been like a world beater, but at the same time, we got him with the 36th pick. Mitchell Robinson was a 36th pick, I think. Deuce McBride, second round pick. So,
yeah. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I said. What I meant to say. So I don't know. Maybe you feel about it differently, but I just think that's my perspective on younger isn't always better, and most of these guys are a roll of the dice, even at the top of the draft. Most of these, I know everybody wants to say this is the greatest draft class ever, and this guy is the one, and Acuff is going to be a star, and this guy is going to be a star, and so is that one. Maybe that's true. Sometimes, every once in a while, you have a generational draft. A lot of times, if you look back at some of those drafts, you look at the top 10 and you're like, who? And if you had a redraft, and then almost never stays the same order, right? But some guys, just like Khalil Ware, was second team all rookie, and he got picked 15th, right? So that means probably somewhere in 1 through 14, you had guys who underperformed or didn't do what they were supposed to, and we saw that firsthand. Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina.
Right. All right. Thank you for that, Geoff. I know Diawara is coming back. I hope Jose stays. He was a big part of the bench. He was. I wouldn't listen I love Jose too, but if he doesn't come back and the Knicks can replace him with another point guard with some size, I wouldn't be mad. But if they can't, I love him. Jamrock always. Daddy A gives me Kevin Knox vibe. Hope he doesn't end up being Chris Copeland. We got some good shit. If he can be Chris Copeland, it was a season I thought Chris Copeland was going to be an all-star.
Honestly,
There's
speaking
still
about
people
Pac
say we
Holmes,
lost that Indiana
Yeah,
series
no.
because we didn't play him.
number one, Pac Holmes a better defender than him right now. And Pac
Mhm.
Holmes, honestly, right now, he's really coming into his. You can see it in his game, his bounce, his step. He's coming into his body. His body's beginning to formulate his strength, his size, the way he shoots. That kid has the potential to be really good. Pac Holmes not a bum. He just hasn't had that time. But I think this year, I think he takes another step wherever he goes or whatever he does. You can just see his body. He's truly filled out now. Like, his shot, everything, the way it's ranged, the way he gets to the corners. He's learning. He's becoming much more of a pro, I believe. I think if they give him a chance, I think you'll see a hell of an improvement.
Okay. Rick James, what about our last 4 drafts? Huck is a G League player. Like Geoff said, if you look at his analytics, he could step in for Mitch right now. But it takes more than that.
He
But
was
how
so-
much of those draft decisions went into having the team that won the championship? Like, I think that's part of like the salary cap decisions that you made. The decisions on these trades that you made was what allowed you to build the roster that made us NBA champions. So I think you have to look at it that way too. I understand that some of these players are going to be very good, but we're NBA champs, and so I think you have to give the process some grace, in my opinion. You can feel however you want to about it, but I'm going to give the process some grace because we're something we hadn't been in my lifetime.
IT Shaman 39% this season, regular season 38, career 39. Not bad for a bench player. He's no Steph, but he's not a bad shooter. You comfortable when he's shooting? Yeah, to me, Shamit is Deuce 5 years ago, and Deuce is Shamit 5 years from now. I think they're just, guys who, you kind of know what their ceiling is. You kind of know what you're going to get. And the percentages even out, but from game to game, it could be a rough ride. All right. Shout out to Latrell Sprewell, the America 6297. Would you trade Deuce if we realistically can't keep him long term? Yes. If the Knicks know right now that they're not going to keep him long term and we're having money issues right now, yeah, I would. And anybody else with thoughts on that?
100%. You have to. You
Yeah,
absolutely have to. It's asset mismanagement if you're just going to let his contract run out. Like, get something of value for him while you can. I mean, that's the name of the game, and I think that's probably what you're going to see this summer if there's a deal out there to be had.
Yeah, facts. I mean, I love the player, but I love the name, as we say, on the front of the team, not as far as necessarily on the back. And if Deuce can, if his sacrifice makes us a better moving forward, so be it. I think a lot of us were disappointed that Deuce didn't actually take that next step. 1 year his shot is better. 1 year he's going into the hole. This year, the playoffs revealed a lot of his weaknesses. And unfortunately, getting all the way to a championship exposes it even more. So I think that's where a lot of point of us is that we were really hoping that he took that next step. Health definitely has a lot to do with it. But since that injury, he came back. Supposedly he was healthy, but he never became that same player again. And that's where a little bit of a disappointment is. But when he was up there, Deuce was the man. But, this is a dog-eat-dog world, and what have you done for me lately? So, we can't ride off memories. We got to ride off execution moving forward.
Yeah. Nick Yak, any rotation with McBride in it was plus minutes. Okay.
It's true.
Sherwin, basketball is not played on a computer. I can't stand the data. Wow. I mean,
You have to have a little bit of both.
you got to have a little bit of both. Yeah. Okay. All right. So for some of you, I would love to put your comments up, but once you put a curse word in it, but I can just read it. I think that's Ian Coleman, leaving Hart in the starting lineup. Leaving Hart in the starting lineup. Basically, leave Hart in the starting lineup. The intangibles are too much. Forget them stats. Hart is an impactful player. Okay. John Gutierrez again with this second apron. You can't win with all your money tied up in your stars. You need a bench. That's what helped us win this year. Plus, Mike Brown used his bench.
But this year, our money was all tied up in our starters.
It
It literally was. Like we said we can't win, but we did win. And almost $200 million of our salary was from our starters or something crazy. It wasn't exactly 200, but starters took up the majority of our money, with Mitch being the other notable exception, and everybody else was pretty much under, $5 million. like literally, we just won the title that way.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how little some of the players was actually getting paid that played a lot of minutes for us, especially in the finals.
Yeah.
Like
we
they
weren't playing really getting paid a lot. Yeah.
Really, really cheap contracts. That's not going to happen again. Yeah. Unless it's other players making that type of money, not the players that were already there.
Facts. The CBA, the next CBA will kind of, because it's just far, like the standard of what starters are making to non-starters, it's spreading so far that it's getting just too far as far as they've got to do something to adjust it to back up. It's crazy to have a guy contributing 70 million and a guy playing, you know what I mean? And the next guy's making off the bench, making 2.5, 3, 4 million. That difference is just too dramatic to really create a balance point. So CBA probably will have to somehow clean that up on the next one.
Yeah. So Nickel ain't getting even 5 minutes. He might not.
Nah.
Rick James, he has no handle whatsoever. Okay.
Yeah,
but at this point, he would just be a role player. Like as you go along, you fill out your game. But if you could just be a specialist right now and come in and give us a little something.
Oh, Nickel shoots good enough. He does not need a handle at all. He can score 20 points without dribbling.
Wow.
The 40%.
He does. What he does is he actually fits their system. He fits the system that the Knicks run, because he can come off of a curl and drop a right on you. He needs barely a step on you, and bang, that shot is on.
Like, not saying that he's Klay Thompson, obviously, but somebody that can just run around, catch the ball and shoot. Nickel
40% on almost 7 attempts a game at Vanderbilt. Think about that. I mean, that's kid can
both
shoot.
Both players were high volume. Both our draft picks were high volume 3-point shooters.
Yeah, Jerrell, always. I think I'm gonna have to give it up. Like, we barely got enough room for the basics, and I want a extra, salami, and it don't look like it. Doesn't look
no
like
extra cheese on your pizza. No extra cheese. Get out of here.
It's gonna happen, because I'm sitting here saying, "Oh, what else do we need besides what we already have for next season? We can barely bring back what we have."
Right.
But I'm still on board that. Listen, we want to run it back, and I'm cool with it. But there was still some things that we could shore up for a repeat run, is all I'm saying. Like, that doesn't mean I don't believe in the team. It doesn't mean I didn't just watch them go on a historic run. But we saw Jalen Brunson struggling to get the ball up the court because Mikal Bridges couldn't handle the rock. Hart, who's usually pretty good, would handle it against that San Antonio pressure. He was a little shaky too, to the point that Mike Brown, in my opinion, was willing to give up time on the clock just to make sure we didn't turn the ball over. The game 4, he brought in Alvarado, thank goodness, and that really, really helped. But I still see that as a need for the Knicks.
It is.
Next season.
And Alvarado didn't really help in game 5. So it was like, you know what I mean? It worked in game 4, but it was easily adjusted to by the Spurs. Mitch Johnson, I guess is his name. So, is that a long-term solution? I think you definitely have hit on something that could be problematic for us again next year. So, be interesting to see how we adjust this lineup. Is it just bringing Jose back? It may be if he wants that $4.5 million. If he wants more than that, I think it'll be somebody else who's in here in that spot.
Yeah,
and a power forward as well. Because remember, we lost our power forward, our BBL power forward. We lost, so we truly need a real power forward.
and do you agree with Sherwin, who the Knicks won't win because of height? We did, Sherwin, but do you believe that should be a focus going into next season? I don't necessarily think so, but do you guys think that size should be a focus?
I actually kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit in terms of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't surprised about the draft when it come to us not drafting,
Mm-hmm.
because Leon Rose has done that since he's been here. I was really, really shocked with Mitch's situation that we passed up all those centers. We passed up a lot of centers that not could have taken Mitch's place. But if we are in danger of getting rid of Mitch or Mitch leaving, the fact that we picked 2 guards that's actually on the, like, actual picks, not just traded away, and none of them were like the 8 centers that was available that we could have drafted, I don't know exactly what that says. Like, it would make you think that Mitch is coming back.
Can I tell you what I think it says?
Go ahead, Geoff, because I think I'm going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
Well, you say it first, and then I'll say
No, go ahead. Seriously.
So I think that it says that maybe some of these backcourt players that we have don't have as secure a spot as we think they do, and that maybe some of those is we're going to trade small for big and kind of resolve our center conundrum without bringing Robinson back. I think I think they have a move in mind. I don't know what it is, but I think they have a specific move in mind, and I think they're pretty confident in it. It may, in fact, be Yves Messi, because Messi's a guy that we talked about at the trade deadline. And a lot of times when you have a deal that cooks on the stove, but it doesn't get completed at the deadline, when you have another offseason, and that's the time when those deals tend to get done. So that's my thought process on it, is that you're bringing in those guys to supplement the backcourt, because maybe some of those, maybe not everybody's coming back from the backcourt that like we as fans hope. So we'll see.
You don't think it means that they believe in Huck Porty?
No,
he's restricted free agent. We haven't signed Huck Porty yet. So I mean, but Huck Porty's a third big. I don't think you can just trust him to. You got to bring in a third guy. I mean, at least I think you do.
I'm 100% in agreement with Geoff when it comes to that, and that was definitely the most interesting part of the draft for me. Like, if Mitch is not going to be here, the fact that they skipped over all those centers
and traded one.
And traded one. They picked one and traded them away
for cash. Not even
another pick. We didn't get anything back for him.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of centers that could have gotten minutes on this team. Not saying that they were Mitchell Robinson, because none of them are. But
they must have a plan. Yeah. All I thought was they had a plan. They must have a plan. And with
this front office, I'm never surprised by anything anymore.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much like what Chicken George said in Roots. You know what I mean?
What would that be, Knicks Nation? You would have to enlighten me on that.
Really? You've never seen that?
No, I've seen it, but I was
it's 29 episodes though. So which one?
Well, this was, you know what I mean? It was the in the barn where he said, "Hey, if you don't got this what's name plan, you got to have yourself another plan." So hopefully,
Yeah, I did not.
You got to have yourself another plan. That was a famous line from Chicken George.
And the other thing that I would say about that, Jerrell, is when you point guards and centers are usually the positions in the league, especially in the second round, those aren't ready-made guys,
Right.
right? Those are usually guys that are projects that take a couple years, especially if you're talking about a guy to anchor a defense. Rookie centers get in foul trouble a lot, so they're not reliable. Well, I mean, we've seen this. We saw it with Cordy. We saw it with Mitch. It's just a position that takes longer to learn. Same thing with point guard as opposed to, the wing spots, in my opinion. So I think that may have something to do with it also, is that if we are going to bring someone in, I think they're more comfortable with a veteran.
Great point, though. Bring in guards so that they can move off of some of our guards. But I don't know if these guards that they drafted are ready enough to move off of starting guards. I mean, not starting guards, but guards that are in the rotation.
No, not necessarily just outright replace them. Just saying that they will still be on the roster, and they have they have certain traits that are like Nickel. I'm not saying that. I said that he's not going to play, not because he can't shoot. It's because I think we're going to be deep enough for him to not have to get minutes.
Right.
But if we needed a shooter, he would get minutes.
Yeah. I just think the system is really just weird and wacky right now. Because let's look, we had guys in the G League now that are going to college for NIL deals because they're going to get more money there. So certain things that we might have thought were going to happen, all of a sudden they don't happen. And I think there's a lot of different dominoes that are beginning to fall just because of this whole new system, this NIL thing. And as far as, the G League, the system, foreign, we still got a 6'5" point guard sitting over there, that we dashed and stashed, 3 years ago now. Where is he at? There's a lot going on. So we'll have to see. I just got to trust that they have a plan and a process for it.
Yeah. This is when we were talking about Deuce and Shamet. A-Train, Deuce and Shamet are the same to me. Wolverines, 1986. Clarkson is better than Deuce. Shamet is better than Deuce. BKNY, 1982. Shamet, Clarkson, and then Deuce. Did Deuce have that bad of a of a playoff series that he's now third behind Shamet and Clarkson?
He was pretty rough in that San Antonio series.
I mean,
he froze. He froze a lot. A lot of times Deuce would get right to the top of the key with the ball and then freeze and not step into the paint to go, to take it in. And I think that hurt because a lot of people saw it repetitively over and over and over again. He would advance the ball, get to a point, and then not know what to do with it. That hurt with how we saw him. And for him to take that next step, he should have, He should have muscled up, and went in there and did what he had to do, for better or for worse. But he didn't. So,
Steph, I don't think Deuce was ever better than Jordan Clarkson. I think Clarkson's just older. I don't think he was ever a better player than Jordan Clarkson. No.
Oh yeah, offensively, definitely not.
No way.
Maybe a better defender.
No.
Yeah.
Better defender.
Yeah.
Defender. But offensive, no.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. Only 28 likes. Come on, hit the like button for the show. It helps the algorithm. Appreciate you. East Blue Drew. Deuce was great in past playoffs, though. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we champs. We allowed to be hyperbolic, Geoff.
That's true.
There's been a lot of hyperbole going on.
We'll give everybody until free agency starts.
And then we'll start reeling people in, right?
4 days. You got 4 days.
Y'all have till Tuesday.
Yeah, y'all need more.
Get right, church, and let's go home. Y'all have till Tuesday.
4 days. Sure.
Latrell Sprewell in the America. Deuce was great against the Sixers, but was bad in the finals. Okay. All right. I mean, was it just a bad playoff series, or do you feel like he's exposed and this is who he is and he's just not going to get better?
Nah, I think his shot just wasn't falling. He could be streaky at times. I think he was just. I don't think like the defense played against him, rattled him in any way. He was just missing.
Some of
Sometimes
them was bad though. That's the only time I thought maybe he was a little rattled, like
But
maybe he hit the
sometimes,
side of the backboard, and
sometimes he like that though, Steph. Like he'll have games where Deuce will look absolutely terrible, and then will look like Larry Bird the next game.
But the Spurs have the players that can make him look really bad because they're tall and they're
Right,
physical
yeah.
in the backcourt, and he has that high arcing shot, but it's tough for him to get shots off against them. He can't dribble by anybody on the regular, so he's sure not going to do it against elite defenders like Vassell and Castle and those sorts of folks. So it really is a bad matchup for him. I mean, Philly can't guard anybody. Sorry, DX Relish. On the perimeter, so that's a series where he's going to thrive and flourish a little bit more. But are you telling me if we play Oklahoma City in the finals next year that Deuce is going to be able to do any more or any better? I mean, I wouldn't be confident in it. Maybe he could cobble something together though.
Knicks 12-day. Shouldn't it be 10 weeks? Anyway, fans are sentimentally attached to players that need to go again. Yeah. We like our homegrown. That's for
Yeah, that's just
that's
natural.
for sure. Say that again.
I said that's just natural. All fan bases want homegrown talent. That just is what it is. We always going to overrate our talent, regardless of who the players are.
Yeah, Deuce really drives to the basket, not in his bag. I mean, it's just not his. That's just not his game. I'm giving Mikal 3 hams this season. Is that hams? Games this season where he was scoreless. He got into his own head a lot of the time, but the struggle for him is real. It has to be a change in that lineup for next year. Why though? And if there is a change in the lineup, is it Bridges?
Bridges' extension starts next year. He ain't losing that starting lineup. Our starting spot, I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs to lose as far as that, in that sense, as far as the starting lineup. But the bench needs to have somebody to, in one point of it here, to me, in one point of it, somebody with some size to it. I don't think that we can just keep rolling out 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" guards. I think we need one of them here. You know what I mean? And to me too, it wouldn't hurt if we did get somebody with some serious athleticism. Wouldn't hurt. Because we are the team that won it, which is an anomaly in a sense to, you know what I mean, to really not truly have a super athlete there. We just had, guys that were really solid, but to still win.
We've been asking for that for like 5 years, Nation.
Yeah, no,
I don't know if we're going to get it this year.
No, we're not getting it.
But we've been asking for that.
They seem to be against it.
Yeah, listen, you know what I want next to Brunson. I need me a 6'4" point of attack defender that can run the show and play where him and Brunson can be interchangeable. I'm not going to get it.
I think that's what this German guy is going to be eventually, Queen.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. We got another super chat. Shout out to you, Paris Duggar. Always rocking with us, always supporting the channel by your presence and the super chats, whether we agree or disagree. Paris Duggar is the original David Smith, but he's calmed down a lot over the years. Just playing with you, Paris Duggar, who I had the opportunity to meet actually at Legends when Sim was doing. Shout out to MPK, one of his shows. Really cool guy. Coolest thing was having no worries about the draft or free agency. Sad we got to lose Deuce and Mitch because they will command more money. We did draft a 3 guy. He already got Deuce in there. Okay.
Yeah, but see, that's why you have to worry about the draft and free agency, though. Because of the second part. if you know people are going to leave, who you think we're going to replace them with in the long run?
Yeah.
It's tough sitting around watching everybody else, and Christmas opening up their toys and you getting nothing. And then to think about it, we still don't have a number. We don't have a 1 next year coming either. So it was kind of weird. I thought maybe that they would try to, if they were going to push it down the line, I thought they were going to try to push it down the line to maybe next year and, picking up a 1 or something, but not so far.
And Jaden Ivey somewhere eating Vaseline, Sherwin. I do not want him on this team. That ship is
It'll be cheap for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Is anything else starred that you guys wanted to talk about? Jerrell, did we get to all of the draft ones, or was there some more starred that I didn't get to?
Not really. We didn't talk about the kid from Germany that much.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
He might not saying that he's not worth talking about, but he got a hand like he's a kid that's not probably gonna play. Like he's a stash and grab for a reason. But to Geoff's point earlier about Dadier saying that he wasn't going to go, he was going to try to stay with the Knicks. This kid said the same thing. So we'll see. Like, I don't expect him to be on the roster, but summer league.
I do, Jerrell, and I'll tell you why. Because we've got a lot of roster spots to fill.
True.
And
So,
he's one of the 2 options that we have for that second round exception contract. And remember, we couldn't do that with Mo Diawara last year because we signed him to an Exhibit 10 or something like Exhibit 9 deal first. So we didn't have that option. I think one of these guys, I don't know which one, but I think one of them is going to be a 2-way player, and the other one is I don't think they signed him to draft and stash him. I think I think he, even if he never plays a minute, to have him there at the $1.4 million or whatever that amount is, that frees up more money to sign somebody else who's better, or spread out more money to the keep. So that's why I think that he will be on the roster. I don't think it's a draft and stash situation. I could be completely wrong about that, but I just think that given the strategy that they look to have employed during the entire draft process, that seems to be how they structured it, right? To have one of those guys be a 2-way and the other guy be a draft and stash, or if we need to have both of them in, on small rookie deals, we can do that too. If we need that, to get to the 14 player plateau, because that's an important threshold. And we've got a lot of guys that we need to sign.
Well, if that's the case, if we are going to keep him, then I guess I will talk about him at least a little bit. Steph, he will be the type of player that you were talking about earlier. He could be the second ball handler. If he develops into what they want him to be. How he played in Germany, it's not like I watched any games, but I've watched a lot of videos about him and read a lot of stuff. That kid had the keys to that team, and he was young. He had that whole team on his back, and they won the championship in their league. So
wow,
That's
he does struggle against the
Bundesliga, by the way. They beat Bayern Munich, who's kind of the powerhouse team, and he's a 20-year-old kid.
Right.
Yeah, but he still struggles against the press, though. He still struggles against the press, so he's got to get a better handle.
Yeah, he could play defense though. Shot could be a little bit better, but he could shoot. It's not like he can't shoot. Mm-hmm. So if he develops, I'm just waiting for the summer league. Like, we'll see how he fits in the summer league. If he has a bad summer league, it doesn't matter if he wants to stay or go. They will send him away.
I think he's another
from a
kid
bad summer league. Wow, like.
No, I think he'll be under. I think he's a guy who'll be under Dirk as well. He's another what's name though, because that whole German connection thing. He's another guy that will probably get some practice under Dirk Nowitzki to get his shot better.
It would be nice. Yeah, but
he's connected to them already.
I was gonna say, Steph, he was a 2nd round pick. It's not that much you can, not saying expect of him, but.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, give him an opportunity to, to get with the developmental coaches and what have you. It's like he just goes through summer league. He doesn't have a good summer league. That's it. Work with him a little bit. Yeah, cobble something together.
I guess whose decision would that, Jeff? Do you know whose decision would that be though? Would that be his decision if he doesn't?
I'm
like
not
the situation?
sure because I mean, I guess in the sense it's ours because it's whether we offer him a contract or not, right?
True.
Right. That's what it boils down to. I mean, he could come over here and play summer league without being under contract. That's happened before. But you know,
And he
rostered
may opt
Trevor
back out.
Keels. I don't see that we couldn't roster this kid. You know, and it's as much the salary slot that he would take up as much as anything. In other words, he would, unless Nickel's going to be the guy who gets
Right.
that rookie exception contract, which is possible too. And then maybe he's just a two-way player, and I think he's fine as a two-way player. G League, you know, I think that's where he belongs anyway.
Or we can sign Mitch and everybody else goes, so the rookies can stay.
Yeah.
You still got to have some players.
He was due to go to Baylor.
Players at least.
Right.
Yeah, because this kid
Remember,
I
we're
believe
staying
he
under
could
the
still opt
second
back
apron.
out and go to Baylor, I believe, as well. Because he was chosen at first, he was opted to go to Baylor. And like I said, he
Gonzaga.
pulled out.
I think it was
Right.
Gonzaga.
It was Gonzaga.
It was
Yeah.
Gonzaga. I thought it was Gonzaga or Baylor, one or the other. But I know that he, you know what I mean, that was an option on the table for him as well.
Yeah. Shout out to Paris Duggar. Straight up, Diawara is better than, I think he meant to say Deuce going forward because he clarified it in the next statement. Nick, Diawara is not a playmaker either and was breaking threes at the end of the season. They're going back and forth. Diawara can drive and kick. He can pass and become a top defender. I think Diawara's ceiling is much higher than Deuce, but I think Deuce's floor is higher right now, right? Because Diawara is still up and down.
I agree.
All right.
Perfectly said.
Let's get to our poll. Let's end the poll here. Hopefully everybody voted. If you didn't, what's more important to you? Continuity, keeping the team together, or flexibility to improve the team? Let me end it right now. And 60% said that continuity was more important, keeping the team together. And 40% said flexibility to improve the team was what was most important to them. It was what's more important to you. All right. Last question before we get out of here. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate you. Very active. Replay gang. Silent listeners, appreciate you as well. Last question for the panel. Let me find it.
The next show, I got to remember, I'm bringing snacks.
All right. I got it. You get one move this off season. What are you doing, Knick Nation? One move. What are you doing?
Oof. You mean as far as picking up a free agent player or something like that?
Any off season move. What are you doing? It could be keeping somebody, signing somebody.
I'm convincing Mitch to take between 16 to 18 million and telling him that I can get him 30 million in endorsement deals somehow.
You ain't got to convince him to take 16 and 18 million. You got to convince him to take 6 to 8 million. Because if the Knicks pay him 16 to 18, he'll take it.
Maybe he's talking over 3 years.
No, the reports were saying as far as 20 something that Mitch was looking at point for. So that's why I'm saying if he can take, because that's what we always constituted is that if he stayed under 18, that more than likely the team would pick him up. It was the fact that he was looking for 20 something, they were saying, and more. So if that report is true, then keeping him down to 16 is a point. That's a discount.
To stay under the second apron, he would need to sign for under 13, if I'm not mistaken. He would need to sign for under
Probably
13.
well under 13.
Well under 13 in order for the Knicks to stay under the second apron.
But that's just for 1 year, right? Because then if there was name, it evolves, right? If he's like, if it's close, You know what I mean?
He'll get
But
8%
I don't know.
raises. He'll get 8% raises over it. You think he would sign for under 13?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's so if I
But
had
I
a
get what
wish,
you're saying.
yeah, it's tough.
Get
It's
Mitch to sign for less than market
Yeah.
value. That would be
Yeah.
your offseason.
Yeah, that would be my dream.
Okay. Donnell Monty, he's not doing it. He just crushed you right out the gate. Like, he's not doing that.
I know. But no, because I definitely don't want him short his bag. But like I said, if somebody, you know what I mean, being here in New York or whatever it may be, if they can get him something, trucks, he likes trucks. Hey, get him a Ford deal. You know what I mean? Something, something.
Geoff?
Find a way to pry Eve Missy from New Orleans in some kind of deal that involves Mitch or not Mitch, Deuce and Pacome and those sorts of things, and then that should allow us to keep Landry and some of those other guys and go from there. I think that would. I mean, he's not a perfect Mitch replacement, but he's an adequate backup center who comes a lot better cost control for us, at least for year one, and so I think that helps us with our flexibility standpoint, and it keeps our roster pretty much intact because we can bring the rest of the band back together and attack this at reasonably full strength compared to last year.
Yeah, I think, like, for me, when I'm thinking of the center position, I'm not even thinking about replacing Mitch. We just can't. Like, I'm thinking about who can we get to play behind Karl Anthony Towns for 12 to 15 minutes and be serviceable, rebound the ball, not be a hot mess. Like, to me, that's my thinking. Can Messi, rebound the ball? He may not even be an offensive rebound. Like the team may look different, right? So he may not be Mitch in terms of offensive rebounding, but you have to be able to defensive rebound. Like, you can't be in there giving up offensive rebounds. Can he defend his position? Can he rebound? Can he buy minutes for Karl Anthony Towns until he gets back in the game? Like, to me, that's the basics. Anything after that is gravy. I don't think the backup center has to be Mitchell Robinson. He played
about 19 minutes in New Orleans last year, about 5.7 points, about 5.8 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks per game. So he's got some rim protection. He's not as good a rebounder as Mitch, but he's not a bad rebounder. And I don't think he shoots negative 14% from the free throw line either. So although he's not great at 55.9, so kind of a similar feel to Robinson, not as dominant on the offensive glass, but at a price point that's a third of the cost, I think it's as good an approximation as you're going to get, and that's why I picked him specifically. He may not even be on the market. I read recently where New Orleans was reticent to move him, so I don't know if that's true or if that's just them trying to up the price with the Knicks or whatever the case may be. Who knows? But if I had one move to make, that would be the one that I would do.
Okay. Jerrell, you get one move this offseason. What are you doing?
But who am I, Steph? Make this a little bit more difficult. Am I Leon Rose?
Whoever you want to be. You could be James Dolan. You could be Leon Rose. You could be Mike Brown. You could be a fan. Wherever you want to be.
Well, if I'm Dolan, I would try my best to try to run it back and at least be in the second apron for at least 1 year. But if he does not want to do that, like, I'm way too old to keep trying to tell rich people how to spend money. Like, it never works. So he can do what he wants with the team. But if I'm Leon Rose, I'm obviously going to try to convince Dolan to do what I want Dolan to do. I won you a championship. Obviously, our front office is good at what they do. If they can't convince Dolan to be in the second apron for at least 1 year, then I think he really doesn't want to do that for a reason. And
how do you expect to avoid the second apron in the following years? That's my question.
That's their problem. I have no idea, Geoff. I have
But
absolutely.
that's the situation that they're dealing with. If you go over it this year, you're probably setting yourself up for 2 or 3 years in a row of being over it, unless, and all of the penalties that go with that, unless you get rid of a bunch of salary. And if you get rid of a bunch of salary, you're not going to be a competitive team anymore, because it's the starting five that's so good that makes up all your, you have to shed a lot of salary. I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm talking about quite a bit, like cutting out an OG from the lineup for a player.
Easy. Let's start with Bridges first. Let's start with Bridges. Or Hart. The OG.
I'm just using a higher price player. OG makes more than Bridges.
But Geoff, it's the man's dream. It's his wish. It's a dream. It's not for real thing. It's a wish. It's a dream. This is all dreams for us. Don't rain on the man's dream now. It's a dream.
I'm just trying to put it into context. Is all.
Right. Yeah, what I'm saying might not be realistic at all, but that's like I said earlier, that's the gig.
That's his one wish. That's
what a front office would have to do. But don't get me wrong, what Geoff said, and trying to get somebody else other than Mitch here, that is really obviously the more realistic situation. We would have to get somebody not to replace Mitch, but we would have to definitely dip into the free agency or try to get somebody in here to be the backup center.
Yeah.
And depending on who we get back in terms of like Shamet and everybody else that we have to try to re-sign, if they go elsewhere, how much do you put in on Colin's hands? We might have to get another backup point guard in here too, not just a backup center. So
that's
like if Alvarado leaves, Jordan Clarkson leaves, Landry Shamet leaves, what do we do? Regardless of Mitch is here or not. That's a main question too. It's not just Mitch that might be replaced.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point. I think Ajay came into the chat. The exact same team won't win it all again because other teams change and improve. That's Ajay. Every team is different. Even if they're the same, they're different. I mean, that's a good point. Even if the Knicks run it back, you do have to keep in mind that other teams are improving as well. And so then the question becomes, can this team beat these teams that haven't even been formed yet?
But the reality of our situation is this, Queen, that's really the only option we have. Like, even if we're talking about going over the second apron, we can only go over the second apron to sign our own players anyway. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's the choices are bring it back, or bring it back. Right. It's not like we can go out and sign a big free agent. We could certainly change the mix up if we wanted to trade a starter, but again, I don't think that they're going to want to do that. I don't know that a lot of people want us to do that anyway, unless the right deal comes along. I don't know what that is, but again, this Knick team surprises sometimes. Like, nobody thought that Dante DiVincenzo was going to be sent packing, and he and Julius Randle left, and Karl Anthony Towns came in, and we always said Nova Knicks. There's no way he's going to trade. I guarantee if Leon Rose has an opportunity to improve this team in a way that he thinks makes a difference to wins and losses and defending this championship, he's going to do it. But I think he's going to have to do it within the constraints of flexibility and staying under that second apron. And I think that's one of the reasons important that over Tuesday and Wednesday, we added a cachet of, I think, 5 or 6 second round picks. And now we have 12 total picks in the second round from next year all the way through 2034, I believe. So the only year we don't have a second round pick is in 2031. But in every other year we have multiple. And so I think that those are, Jerrell and I talked about this. Those are the pieces that grease the wheels to trades and allow you to do some things along the margins that are important. And so I think that they stockpile those things for a reason, and it may not just be for a rainy day, especially when you consider the fact that the way that the picks in the second round are determined is fixing to change. I don't know if y'all know that or not. With the new draft lottery system, they're kind of doing it as a snake draft for the top 16. So if it went 1 through 16, if you got the number 1 pick in the first round, you're going to be picked 16 in the second round. So it's going to be kind of crazy how all of that works too. I'm not even sure if I'm explaining that correctly, but
we get it. We play fantasy basketball, so we know what it's
okay. Well, I don't doubt your capacity to understand, more so my ability to explain. That's all. I don't know if I feel like word salad was coming out there, but the point being,
we get it though. We get it. Nick Yak losing Mitch, we aren't better but worse. I mean, it depends on who the replacement is. I don't think it's just taking Mitch away. I don't think the Knicks would just not sign Mitch and not do anything. Right? That's why you stand under the second apron for some flexibility so you can do something. Jerrell?
I was just going to say, and Nick Yak said before that, he said, well, if Cat gets hurt, then we're screwed. Yeah.
Even with Mitch.
Yeah, even with Mitch. Like, he's a starting.
Facts.
Like, yeah. Like, if matter of fact, not just Cat, if any of the starters get hurt, we're pretty much screwed. Like, they're starters for a reason. We won a championship with them. And just like other teams, when their starters went down, guess what happened? They were screwed. Like, teams don't win championships when starters, like full-blown starters, are just injured and just out. Like, that doesn't happen. That's why OKC lost to the Spurs in the first place.
2 of their best players, AJ Mitchell and the good Jalen Williams.
Yep. Or they would have. I thought they would. Spurs
I don't know about that.
I think they would have beat the Spurs if they would have played.
Yeah, they're breaking up that team too. The money, same thing.
They have to.
Hartenstein gone. He's gone. Whatever they're gonna do, they're gonna move him.
Yeah, he's a free agent too, right? Not yet.
No, they're probably gonna trade him.
They're gonna trade him because they don't. The money makes just too much.
So look,
we knew it when he got him that he would only deal 2 years.
Yeah. The one thing I would do is just keep the flexibility. Keep the flexibility. That's where I'm at. Even if you want to keep Mitch, and that means you move off of a Deuce McBride because you value Mitch more. I'm okay with that. But keep the flexibility. I just think you lock yourself into a team and you can't make changes at the deadline. Somebody get injured. There's not much you can do. You can't sign buyout players, mid-levels. Like, that's just a lot of restrictions. And the NBA changes, teams change around you, and you can't really change yourself. I think that's a lot. So the one thing I would want them to do this offseason, it's not a move, is to keep your flexibility.
Yeah. Why are they people talking about Dante? Dante's gone for next year.
He just tore his Achilles. Like,
he's Achilles. He's gone. He's done for the year. Yeah, he's done for the year.
Yeah. I mean, he might pull a Tatum and come back early. Mikal Bridges for bench power. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking last season. I thought the Knicks were really top heavy. And you got Cat, you got Brunson, you got particularly the way OG has really come along. You know, do you need four players making over what, $25-30 million, whatever it is?
Steph, before OG actually turned the corner, would you be saying that though?
I did say that.
Yeah, you did.
I did say that. I did say that I would have liked the Knicks to have 3 top-end players, and I don't really want to say this now because I thought Bridges was really good for us in the regular season and in the playoffs, and not the regular season, in the playoffs, and we won the chip. But if you could turn Bridges into another starter next to Brunson and fill out your bench a little bit, I would think about it. I got
crucified for that take.
Yeah, I don't think I would be going around like, listen, we trying to get off of Bridges. I don't know if I would do that, but you can get a Drew Holiday in his prime and some bench players for Mikal Bridges. I would think about it.
Drew Holiday in his prime, Steph.
You don't think Drew Holiday in his prime?
I'm saying that we wouldn't get that. Not prime Drew Holiday. That's like he was an all-star.
But I mean Bridges now, the way you don't think Bridges the way he's played in the playoffs, and you don't think that we wouldn't be okay.
Drew Holiday would be better than Bridges. That's what I'm saying. Prime Drew Holiday.
We would have to add some pieces to
it.
Okay.
Yes. We
all right, maybe Deuce would go in that trade. Player. Anyway, I don't want to depress people because I know, and I definitely don't want to depress people.
You just traded Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, no.
Why do you hate Mikal Bridges?
I didn't hate Mikal Bridges, Steph.
Yeah, they vilify you. Don't do it.
Junior stat H2O said Mikal Bridges for bench power. I'm just trying to show love that I could see that and just sharing how I felt in the regular season.
They're gonna start
about
this is what they're gonna do. Steph, this is what they're gonna do to you. They're gonna look at you like this now, Steph. See that? That's all side eye on you like this now.
Whatever 12
they did that to me for months.
Is going down to 6 now.
They say like Steph was a Mitch hater for the last 7 years. You know what I'm saying? She hate rookies. You a negative Nancy, man.
And now I'm trading.
Now you trading Bridges.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any last words?
Man, salute to the chat. We won the chip.
Yeah. Thank y'all for being here tonight. We had a good crowd in here tonight for a Thursday night off season. Not a lot going on yet. Really good to have. We had over 100 people in here at one point and still 83. So thank you so much for tuning in and get those likes up for us, please, because that really helps the program. And if you've hung out with us for 2 hours and 20 minutes, you can't tell me you didn't like the content. I mean, come on.
Right.
Yeah. Let's not forget. Let's put respect on it. This is a championship chat. That's a championship chat.
Amen.
Yeah. I like LaMelo and Ant together. Let's just see if they're able to. Let's just see if LaMelo hones his game, in Minnesota, right? We already know about the talent. Let's see if he hones his game and take it to the next level in Minnesota. If he does, that's a really good backcourt. Really good backcourt.
I think it's all about maturity for me. And not just for him and Ant. Like, both of them could be a little bit more mature. And if they do turn that corner, because they're both around that age, they were both drafted in the same draft.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yeah, like they both drafted in the same
1 and
draft.
3 or something like that, yeah.
Both around the same age. If that maturity turns around, that is a backcourt you build teams around.
Yeah,
I just don't see it. The only reason why I don't see it because just being from here, hearing other stories about how LaMelo is and moves, and also one other thing, taking a boy from California and putting him in Minnesota, they stuck it to him.
They put him in North Carolina first. And
I'm more concerned about power forward position than I am the weather, though. Like, who are they going to get rebounds there? They don't have Julius Randle anymore. They don't have Naz Reid anymore. I mean, Jaden McDaniels, and Rudy Gobert, is that enough front court help? I mean, the backcourt is amazing. I'm not worried about the fit or any of that, but against the Spurs and the Thunder and the Nuggets, doesn't seem like the best solution to me to not have any good front court players.
Not saying that this solves their problems, but I just got to double check their draft. What pick did they have? Because I think it wasn't.
They got a guard.
Did they? Like, I have to double check.
I'm pretty sure they got that Evans kid.
That was in the second round. Who they get in the first? Evans won the second. They did get Evans in the second, but I mean in the first, I need to just double check.
Let me look.
Who they got in the draft.
Yeah. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the landscape of the Eastern Conference with Giannis going to Miami. I think Milwaukee did well. Miami, not so much, but I'm not going to put anything past Pat Riley. He'll probably sign 3 high schoolers and they in the Eastern Conference champs. I mean, finals against the Knicks. You know what I mean?
Yo, Geoff, you was right. Like, he was picked in the second round, but that was their first pick. They didn't have a first round pick. You're right. Yeah, so Evans was their first pick. He was just picked in the second round. But yeah, that's crazy. they don't have no front court help. Then I don't get it.
Yeah.
They had a $30 million exception, right, for Randall, which then they used on what's the name, right, on Melo, right? Yeah,
the Sumo, right? They just
the Sumo and Melo.
They did
So they broke.
Sumo,
They broke.
but he's another guard.
He's another
A
guard.
very good guard, but
Yeah.
got to have some forwards, and they don't have any avenues to get better. They the Gobert trade gave away half their draft assets. They gave away the rest of them to get Ball. So and that backcourt is going to be dynamic. But how do you beat Wemby? How do you beat Chet? And I don't know. I just don't. How do you beat Joker without having a solution?
Ant-Man is gone. Ant-Man is gone. He won't stay there.
I kind of believe that too, to be honest. But we'll see.
Ant-Man for Mikal Bridges. Let's go.
Hey, that would change the conversation, Geoff, and we will be on here for another 2 hours.
Yeah,
and I'd gladly be up here 3:00 in the morning if we get
He just changed his wish. Did you see that? He just changed his. There's one thing for the offseason. That's it.
Out of work if that news came up. I'm good. Like we can have another show if you want to.
Yeah. Anyway, we out of here. I appreciate everybody who showed up in the chat and showed out in the chat in terms of your participation. Those on X, those on YouTube, we appreciate you. And if there's anybody that listened on Facebook, we appreciate you as well. And Replay Gang, of course, silent listeners, of course, Geoff, Jerrell, Knick Nation, you already know. Until next time, family. Peace.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at?
Don't so.